All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Let's Chat show. My name is Jin. I'm here with the U.S. Embassy here in Algiers. I work as an intern for the public affairs section. Today, I will be with the wonderful Soraya Chalal, our English student from the U.S. Embassy's English classes for journalists. Hi, Soraya. How are you?
Hello, Jean. I'm good. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. The weather's been nicer and I'm here to just like have a conversation. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Soraya Chalal, and I'm an economic TV reporter, and
Mhm.
I'm working at Ennahar TV channel. Do you know it?
Ennahar. Yeah, of course you know Ennahar. I know that's one of like the bigger like channels here in Algiers. So that's really
Good.
cool. Congratulations. Being a journalist must be really exciting.
Thank you. So cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I'm really happy to be with you today, Soraya. Ever since my arrival to Algeria, I've been trying to know a little bit more about what Algerian media is like because y'all seem to have a very interesting type of like material that you present, and that's really cool. So yeah, Soraya, tell me a little bit more about like, your job and, the program that you have at the US Embassy.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm taking English classes in the American Corner. A program that the embassy is hosting for Algerian journalists, and we started 1 month ago. I really enjoy classes because we learn English with really cool ways and method. And every month we have a guest. It's English native speaker, so like this, we can practice and improve our English.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds really cool. It sounds like a very like interesting opportunity for you and for other journalists, especially if you want to, improve your interaction and your different skills. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, sure. So, Jin, I heard that you have a Korean roots. Is this true?
Yeah, I do. I do. In fact, I want to share a little bit about it with you. I also want to teach you something. So if you can repeat after me, 안녕,
Onion? What does it mean?
안녕, 안녕.
Onion?
Yep. Try
Mm-hmm.
this. Try this. 안녕하세요.
Onion, 하세요.
Very good. Wow. Your pronunciation's awesome. I think you're part Korean, actually.
It's Korean.
Um,
What does it mean?
yeah. Yeah, it's Korean. It means hello in Korean. And 안녕하세요 is how you would say hello. So 안녕 is how you would say hello to a friend. 안녕하세요 is how you would say hello to, your boss or someone you work with or someone that you just met.
Oh,
But we're friends now. So, 안녕. All right. 안녕, Soraya.
okay. Onion,
Um,
하세요.
안녕하세요. All right. So yeah, but yeah, I have roots from Korea. I was actually born there. And I
Mhm.
actually have I have a couple pictures that I want to share with you if that's cool. Would you be cool with that?
Yeah, please.
All right. Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay, take your
Uh,
time.
all right. Bam. 1 second. How do you move this? Hmm. Just one moment, please. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks for being patient, everyone. Can everyone see the pictures and stuff? Yep. All right, cool. So yeah, I just want to share a little bit about, my history and my story. So I was actually born in Korea. I was just a little baby. The picture on the far left you see, that's me at my 100-day ceremony. So in Korean culture, long time ago, people got sick very easily. So when your baby becomes 100 days old, they would have a big celebration for you. They would be very excited. And they would bring food. You see the
You look
oranges.
so cute when you were a child.
Oh, thank you. I look cute now, but no, I appreciate that. Thank you. But no, yeah, that was when I was very young. The middle picture is me and my father. Yeah, he was only a little bit older than me but this is in front of one of the royal palaces in Korea.
Mm.
So we just posed for a picture. And then moving this right here, that's me and my little sister. Yeah, that's me and my baby sister. So actually, what ended up happening was I was born in the United States, actually. No, I was born in Korea, but my sister was born in the United States. So, we have many similar experiences because we're both, children of immigrants, but at the same time, there also are some differences in that she was born a US citizen and I was born a Korean citizen. So that kind of changed. But yeah, another thing. But yeah, from there, I immigrated to the United States when I was very, very young. I was only 3 or 4 years old. My father actually was a student at the time, an international student who came over to Oregon. Oregon is right above California, but yeah, he was an international student, and he came with my mom and me, and then my little sister was born in Oregon. And yeah, growing up, I remember that we didn't have a lot of money. Especially as,
Mm.
as my dad is a student at that time, and my mom was just like working and trying to help. It was very difficult for us to, like really thrive sometimes. But one thing I really loved is that in an academic or an educational setting, there are a lot of international students from all over the world. So even if we didn't have a lot of money, we would
Mhm.
make Korean food, we would make kimchi and noodles and all of that, and we would make it for our neighbors. Sometimes they were Korean international students, and other times, they were international students from different cultures in different parts of the world. So maybe they were Nigerian, maybe they were Mexican, maybe they were Algerian. I don't know. But I just remember from a young age having a very international background, and my parents both being very open-minded people to meeting and learning from different cultures. So I think that really helped a lot in terms of us wanting to be able to just broaden our mindset as much as possible. Um, from there, my dad ended up being a immigration lawyer. uh, you know um, and then my mom helped was a Korean school teacher. So both of them really worked hard to be able to serve different communities. So I'm very proud of them. And my little sister now is studying similar things at the University of Michigan, so she's also just really being a rock star. So I'm so thankful for my whole family. And yeah, so I grew up in the United States, and I ended up studying. So in the bottom left corner, you see me, and you can see that there's a lot of diversity
Yeah.
in the classroom. Yeah, there was a couple of the Korean students, but definitely students from different races, different ethnicities, different nationalities, all coming
Mm.
together. And I remember when I was super young, that was really nice. So that was really cool. And then, I went through elementary school, middle school, high school, outside Chicago. That's where I mostly grew up. I got my bachelor's. I went to college at the University of Rochester, Meliora, studying political science. And then right here, just recently, I graduated from Harvard University. I got my master's in public policy. So with all of that, yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit of my background to begin. But I know that, we have some questions for each other, and I want to be able to have that conversation. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, for sure. So, Jean, let's start first with your childhood. So, what are some early memories that you have in Korea, or maybe after you immigrated to US?
Wow, that's a really good question. What are some early memories? I think so. I was just so young when I immigrated over that there's not too many memories I have of Korea itself. I remember I remember when I was in Korea, like I think I think grandparents are very, very affectionate towards their grandchildren. I remember my grandfather, this was just when I was a baby, and like, we use chopsticks. We call it chokarak
Mhm.
in Korea, chopsticks.
Yeah,
Um, it's,
chopstick.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
obviously I'm a baby, so I don't know how to use chopsticks really. So what my grandpa would do is he would like put me on his lap, and then
Mhm.
he would get like fish and like rice and stuff, and like he would like feed me it. And for some reason I can't remember a lot about Korea when I was a baby, but that's just something that I remember. So definitely love my grandpa. Um and then one early memory from when I immigrated to the United States. Um, hmm. I remember. So again, my dad was a student. My mom was also working, but also just taking care of my baby sister who was just born. So me, I was always just like kind of busy to just have fun by myself. And I know that both my parents were very busy, but I remember every day to school, they would like hold my hand and like walk me to like, it wasn't even real school. It was like pre-K, or it was like preschool
Mhm.
or like kindergarten, or I don't know, the really young, like daycare probably. But I remember they used to walk me there, and yeah, they were probably so busy and they're just like, oh my gosh, like I have to walk this kid. But no, they always made sure to spend time with me. And one thing I love about Oregon is that there's a lot of nature. So we grew up in Eugene, Oregon. There's a lot of nature. So while we were walking over to the daycare, there's like trees and flowers and stuff. So I still remember that. So that's one of my
Mhm.
yeah, that's one of my earliest memories. I didn't even think about that, but thank you for
Yeah.
that.
So,
Wow, fast.
you mentioned before about your financial situation. So, how was the your final financial situation as an immigrant, and how did that influence your life?
Yeah, definitely. I think every single immigrant family has their own story to tell, and every single
Mhm.
one is different. So I definitely want to say that like my story is not the same for every single immigrant. But that being said, I know that for a lot of immigrants that financial stability and security coming to the United States is not necessarily guaranteed. It was definitely the same for my family. My parents both worked very hard to make sure that they could provide for my sister and I. And I'm very thankful for them for that. But yeah, as I mentioned, my father was a student, and then following that, we moved around a bit, and I think our family always had enough, thankfully. But a lot of times, compared to some of our surrounding neighbors or some of our surrounding neighborhoods, especially in Chicago, um, no, we didn't really have that much. And there were definitely times where I felt that. And there were probably times where I didn't feel that, but it was still the reality just because my parents, were very protective and also very just wanted to make sure that my sister and I could live a good life. But there were a lot of times where I could feel that financially just there was just like a gap between me and a lot of my peers. And this definitely negatively influenced me because I think there's things I'm thankful for. Like I'm very frugal. Like I know how to be very low maintenance and survive with like a little bit of money. But at the same time, I definitely like worry about it a lot more. And growing up, it definitely had some insecurities for me, thinking about how you know other kids get to do this and this. They get to go on these nice vacations. They get to like get the newest video games and this and this and this. And for me, there was always a sense of um comparison. I think that I that wouldn't have gotten for if if financial situations were different. But
Mhm.
ultimately, my parents always taught me to work very hard and also have compassion for other people. So I'm thankful for that, and that's the most important lesson, definitely. So yeah.
Yeah, another maybe confusing question. How was your life balancing two identities, Korean and American, with different people and different cultures?
Yeah, that was definitely a very confusing time in my life. It still is a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Balancing two identities. Yeah, so definitely I wanted to share that while growing up, all the spaces that I was in. So whether it's at school or the library,
Mm,
playing sports, going when I was working, when I went to go to the store, everyone speaks English. English is
mhm,
like the main real quick. Okay. I think a lot of people get confused that English is like the official language. It's the main language of the United States, but it is the
okay.
main language of the United States. So with that, yeah, I was always speaking English, and where I was living, it was very what you would imagine to be American culture, like American football and prom and track and field and all of that. So yeah, I definitely lived that life, but at the same time, like I was inherently very Korean, like at
Mhm.
home I only speak Korean with my parents. With my sister, it's a little mix of both. I prefer to only eat Korean food at home because I love Korean food and I think it's delicious. Um, and yeah, culturally, there's just a lot of Korean aspects that are just like very deep in me as well. So that when I was growing up, it was definitely conflicting. I went to like a very Korean church as well. So that's how I got to interact with a lot of different Koreans. But when I was at school and anywhere else, I was only speaking English and I was more American. And I think it was confusing, especially in that part of being, in like a traditional American school where I definitely felt like an outsider. I didn't feel like a lot of other people at that school because that school was traditionally um Koreans and other Asians and other that was definitely within the minority. And I think that definitely impacted me. And I had to learn how
Yeah.
to find that balance. And to be completely honest with you, during elementary school, middle school, high school, I don't think I found that balance. I think I was just trying to navigate life as like a teenager, and I wasn't able to you know really embrace my identity, and that's something that it's not that I regret, but definitely something that I think a lot about now as an adult, how I didn't really embrace that Korean identity, and it was tough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So did you feel the need to be in a more stable environment, maybe?
You know what? It's so hard to tell, right? It's so hard to say like what a stable environment would have been in, because I had a good family. My parents were very supportive growing up. But at the same time, yeah, like a few days of the week I would be able to spend time with like other Koreans or Korean Americans, excuse me, Korean Americans. But most of the week, no, it was a majority just people that looked very different from me, and people who had very
Mhm.
different background from me, where I clearly stuck out. And I do wish, I definitely do wish, and I wish this for like my future family, or like future Korean Americans and just future immigrant Americans in general. I do wish for to have been in an environment that was a bit more diverse. Like the spaces I was in was very like wealthy, like traditional wealthy, like white Americans, and that's very much not what our family was. And so I do wish that there was a bit more there was a lot of diversity in certain spaces, but sometimes
Mhm.
I think a stable environment could have been one that more people look like me, or like at least growing up, more people that celebrated people that looked like me. Yeah.
Yeah, like Jin, with all this diversity of the United States, how
Mhm.
did you maintain your Korean heritage?
Yeah. Oh, so with all okay, that's a good question. So definitely the United States does have a lot of diversity. That's very true. And that's something that I'm very proud of. And I hope that, the United States continues to have a lot more diverse spaces, as well as is more accepting for diverse communities.
Mm,
With all the diversity, how I was able to maintain my Korean heritage, I think it's really because of my parents. I think I told you when I was younger, there was a lot of times that it was hard for me to be proud of my Korean heritage, especially when you're bullied, or when you're shy and you feel left out. But I think my parents, they really wanted me to know that yes, you are living in the United States, but this is always going to be a part of your identity and you should be proud of it. And I am. So I think, by
And
that,
people
like,
hide that you are Korean because you look like them.
yeah, of course, exactly. So
Yeah.
with that, my parents, they made sure to cook me like Korean food. I am so good at eating Korean food. Korean language. I'm conversational. So my Korean isn't as good as my English, but definitely I'm able
Mhm.
to have conversations, especially with my parents. What else? Yeah, just like the small things, like different Korean like traditions and cultures, which I would love to tell you about another time. We were able to like do that every single year. And I think it really was like the efforts of my parents and then my family as a whole to maintain that Korean aspect of my identity. Yeah.
Maybe you learn also Korean songs and watch Korean
Yeah,
movies.
yeah. Oh no, definitely. So to the people watching the video, I don't really listen to K-pop, but I do listen to a lot of Korean music, especially older music from the 70s, the 80s, the
Mhm.
90s, and the early 2000s. I think you should check it out. They are absolutely classics and have a lot of inspiration from, American artists and other artists as well. So really beautiful music. But yeah, definitely through that.
Yeah, I'm curious to know about it.
Yeah, I'll
So,
send you some. Yeah,
yeah, in 2017, you had the naturalization test, so then
Mhm.
you became a U.S. citizen. Maybe people want to know a bit about this process. Then you tell us what changed in your life as a U.S. citizen.
For sure. Yeah. So sorry if I skipped over that earlier, but so my sister was born as a US citizen. I was a Korean citizen, and
Mhm.
I was a Korean citizen with a green card living in the United States until 2017. And in 2017, um, I revoked my Korean citizenship, but in place, I was able to become a US citizen. And yeah, no, it was definitely a very interesting process. Yeah, so with the U.S. naturalization, the entire time I was a huge chunk of the portion of me living in the United States. I was on a green card, so it definitely took a long time. But
Mhm.
yeah, once I became when I took the naturalization test, what happened was, I was asked questions on American history, practice for my English skills, about current American politics, like who is the president, vice president. Can you name like your state's representatives? Da da
Mhm.
da. And then
Culture.
after, hmm?
Your culture about your knowledge about US.
Yeah, exactly. Your knowledge about the U.S. and the culture and the history, and then afterwards, when if you pass, you have a whole ceremony, a naturalization ceremony, where you're given an official certificate, and a judge proceeds to make sure that you get the official one. And one thing I definitely wanted to share about this judge is that I remember, because it's basically people who had different nationalities becoming American. And some people might feel a little sad or a little strange about that. But one thing that she shared that I thought was so beautiful was that, whatever nationalities you're coming from, and I looked around the room and there were Koreans, but there were Italians, there were Nigerians, there were Mexicans, Brazilians, like from all parts of the world. And she said, um, I know that you all have origins in a different country, but those origins in a different country, your heritage, it does not take away from your Americanness, but it
Mhm.
adds to your American identity. So today, when people ask me, "Are you Korean?" I'm like, "No, I'm Korean American," and I'm very proud to be
Yeah.
Korean American because I'm part of this, really interesting group of immigrants and children of immigrants who have family heritage from another country, but we're also able to live and as Americans. So yeah, that was basically the naturalization process for me.
Yeah. In this point, maybe people want to know what changed in your life as an American citizen now.
Definitely. I think for me, so if I didn't share this, I skipped over so much, sorry. So I am currently here as an intern, but next month I'll actually be starting my work as a US diplomat. So I'm very
Mhm.
excited for that.
We're
Um,
gonna
I
talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, how my life changed as a US citizen is that I could officially be a bit more of like a representative.
Mm,
I was able to intern on Capitol Hill, at a different embassy. I was able to, I was able to just take on more opportunities and explore my own like identity as a Korean American, as an Asian
mm,
American, as an immigrant American. I think because ever since I became a US citizen, I started learning about my own history in terms of Asian Americans in the United States. I think that's something that I don't know if I would have done as much of if I didn't become a US citizen. And
mhm.
it's a very fascinating history. So it's a very proud history. So yeah, I think that recognition, that self-recognition is the biggest part of how my life changed. Yeah.
Yeah, so Jin, how about celebration? Like, do you also celebrate Korean feats and festivals? Maybe in US and also in Korea.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, let me go back to sharing something real quick. I have a picture for y'all. All
Okay.
right. Everything looks
Korean
good.
food, kimchi.
Yeah, I mean kimchi's on there. So yeah, so I'm sure y'all know about the American holiday Thanksgiving, where we have turkey and ham, we watch football, American football, and we have like big parades and stuff like that. And I definitely grew up with that, and that was so cool. But Koreans actually have their own Thanksgiving. It's a mid autumn harvest festival, which is called Chuseok. And from there, we have all different kinds of really delicious food. I can't even look at this picture too long because I'm not gonna lie, I miss Korean food a little bit too much. But we have our assortment of vegetables and meats and fish and rice and sauces and basically, yeah, like we
I feel
celebrate
hungry.
together. What?
I feel hungry.
You feel hungry? Yeah, I feel hungry right now too. It's almost dinner time, so I'm definitely hungry too. But yeah, there's just a lot of different kinds of my parents growing up, they always made sure, and I'm so proud of my mom and my dad for this, especially you, mom. But like for Thanksgiving, we would always have like the ham, like the traditional ham and like mashed potatoes. But we would also have like rice and kimchi and rice cakes and everything. So she made sure that there was like a combination of the two that to make it
Mhm,
feel more special. And so that was always really nice. And another really big holiday I want to share. So New Year's in the United States, you wait until midnight. Uh, uh, there's a giant ball that drops in New York. You drink champagne, you kiss. That's cool. Um, in Korean, we actually follow the Lunar New Year calendar. So Lunar New Year's or Seollal.
mhm,
We dress in traditional clothing. We call it hanbok,
mhm,
and then we go to our elders and those who are older than us. We bow to them to pay our respects and our honor. We have delicious rice cake, dumpling soup, tteokguk,
mhm.
and we bow to them and then they give us money. So I really love Lunar New Year's as well. So and growing up we celebrated both. So I think this is just another example of earlier you said of balancing the two identities. We definitely had both, and so yeah, I'm just very thankful to my parents for having done that.
Yeah, so interesting. So let's stop talking about food because I'm already hungry.
Yeah,
And
seriously.
I want to ask you another question, like how did you manage to change from a boy who is shy or because of his identity to a man who is proud of who he is now?
Definitely. And this is such a good question. I think it was two things. So I will say until high school and even throughout college, I was definitely very insecure about what people thought of me and very, very insecure and unsure about like my Koreanness,
Mm,
especially because growing up, it was just, you're already a teenager, you're already so like unsure about the world. And then on top of that, you look different. Your name is different.
mhm.
Um, you
Your
eat different
look,
food,
your
all these,
face.
yes, right. And so for me, I think it was actually not too long ago. It was just a couple years ago. You know, once I began maturing more as like as a man and as an adult, I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, it was one, really starting to care less about what people think in general. I think that's just advice for people. Like, you will find your people, the people that love you and appreciate you for who you are.
Yeah.
And two, I think it's because I really began spending a lot more time with people from my own community, as well as
Mm.
people from different diverse communities as well. I
They
think
feel the same, so they are in same situation with you.
similar. You know, it's hard to say that other communities are in the same situation, but definitely they can resonate and they can empathize a
Mm.
lot of the struggles. And so when I made friends from, you know, when I was in college and then in graduate school, a lot of my friends were international students, or, you know, they came from different kinds of communities. And having spent time with many wonderful friends who were also Korean like me, or maybe, you know, Black Americans, Latinos, other Asian Americans. I think for me, like, spending time with people from different communities made me realize, like, and spending time with people from different communities and seeing how so many of them were so proud of their roots and their identity
Mhm.
made me realize it's so important for me to be proud of my roots and my identity. So I'm so
And more
thankful for.
confident, maybe,
Hmm?
and more confident about yourself.
Definitely more confident. Definitely more confident. I love spending so much time with people from different communities because they, unlike people, you know, growing up when I was like a teenager and stuff, so many friends that I've made in recent years, they see my Koreanness as something that's really beautiful and something that's a part of my culture and my heritage. And
Mm.
I'm so thankful for it. And I think that's just like, that really is just such a blessing. And so yeah, I think it's from having spent time with just, again, equally just beautiful, wonderful people from different cultures and different communities who have also told me to be more confident and shared their love for me. That's how I was able to become the man that I am today. Yeah.
So, what is it like when you visit Korea?
Yeah, no, and it's sad because I was supposed to visit Korea in 2020 through a scholarship from the State Department, actually,
Mhm.
to visit Korea and learn Korean, but you know,
The pandemic, yeah.
yes, yeah. So the last time I went was in 2018, and growing up, we would go every other summer or something like that when we could, because flights are very expensive. Um,
Mm.
I think it's really interesting when I visit Korea because, on one hand, like in the United States, as I've shared, there's a lot of times where I feel that like I am too Korean for a lot of Americans. I am too Korean that they don't
Then
consider me fully
American.
American.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes I feel that when I'm in Korea as well, because when you see me, you know, I'm a bigger guy. I wear clothes that are like clearly like American. And the moment that I start speaking, people can tell because I have an accent, like a strong American accent when I speak Korean. That that yeah, like I didn't grow up in Korea. And so when I am in Korea, sometimes, yeah, there's definitely that weird like identity crisis kind of moments where, you know, my father, so
Mm-hmm.
myself, but my father, my grandfather, my grandfather's father, and up, they were all born in Korea and they lived their whole lives in Korea. I was born in Korea, but I was raised in the United States. And so I get back to thinking, what do people think about me? Do they really see me as fully Korean? Da, 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 da. So it is weird, but at the same time, I just remember these recent experiences and the love that a lot of my friends, Korean or not, have shown me to be confident in my identity as a Korean American. And
Mm-hmm.
so that makes me feel a lot more comforted, whether I'm in the United States or when I visit Korea. Real
Yeah.
quick, real quick, when I do visit Korea, I love seeing my family. I love eating the food. So don't get me wrong, being in Korea is an amazing time. I love catching up with my family, and I love having fun, eating that good food, you know, seeing people that look
Yeah.
like me. I'm like, this is cool. So yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's really nice. I think when you accept yourself, so people for sure will accept you.
Yeah, definitely,
So,
definitely.
yeah, let's talk about your future now. This summer, you are training in Algeria to like as you prepare for your career as diplomat. Why you choose Algeria?
Yeah, so I'm part of a program that like colleagues of mine, you can kind of choose where you want to go for the summer. I always thought that Algeria was just so mysterious, and a lot of people are like, "What is going on in Algeria?" I think so. So I've never really spent significant. I've never really been to Europe. I've never been to the continent of Africa. I haven't spent significant time in like the Middle East, North Africa region. So I was like, what is a good way for me to learn a lot about, these different cultures? And from reading about Algeria's history, I realized that there's just so many different influences, and yet there's such a strong Algerian identity. I would love to visit. And on top of that, yeah, a lot of my friends, they've been to different parts of North Africa and they've been to, these different countries, but I don't know a lot of people who have been to Algeria. And again, it's such a mysterious but clearly beautiful country, and I wanted to really experience it for myself. So that's why I was very excited to come be here in Algeria this summer, and
Yeah,
it's been
thank
lovely. Yeah, it's
you.
been so great. Yeah.
Thank you. So, what have been your favorite part of living in Algeria?
My favorite parts of living in Algeria, I think
Yeah,
it's I think it's the people,
it's
honestly. I think it's the people. I have
yeah.
never met people who are just so genuinely nice. Like, and
Mhm.
I'm not just saying that. Like, I think, when I need to get somewhere and the driver is trying to drive me and he drops me off at some place, and again, like Uber, like Yassir, like he has no
Mhm.
obligation to like help me find the place, but when he drops me off and like the location's slightly wrong, he'll call someone down the street, ask to clarify where the location is. It's just super kind, and all the staff here at the embassy have just been so welcoming and wanting to share about Algerian culture. Definitely the people of Algeria has been my favorite part. I also love how proud you are of Algeria. I love the flags everywhere. It's cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, what have been some challenges, maybe?
Challenges. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been. All right, I'm not gonna lie. The internet is a little bit tough. The internet. I do hope that there is stronger internet one day. That has been a little bit difficult to navigate sometimes, or like I'm just, it takes me a little bit to get on Instagram or check out
You are using Wi-Fi or 4G?
sometimes both. I'm not gonna lie, but definitely
Okay.
definitely the 4G. But it's internet is rough everywhere, but it's
Mhm.
been a little bit of a challenge here. But that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Besides internet, is there any other challenge, maybe?
Other challenges? I don't think so. I think that's just been definitely the biggest. Oh, traffic. I'm not gonna lie. Traffic in Algiers has been a
Yeah.
little rough. Like, yeah, some places that was I had my work first experience with it recently, but like getting from some place to some place on Google Maps, it says like 25 minutes. I think it took like 2.5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to wake
So
up really early in the morning.
yeah.
We
That's
all
that
are
was
suffering
definitely.
from traffic.
No, traffic is it's been a little bit brutal here, but other than that, no, those are just like the main challenges. But the good parts definitely outweigh the bad. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so which area did you visit in Algeria?
So unfortunately, I had just because everything has been so busy here at the embassy with our amazing programs. It's I haven't been able to explore that much outside of Algiers. But here
Mhm.
in Algiers, I've been able to do a lot. I've been able to visit the garden, the different museums. I was able to visit Casbah, which was lovely. I was able to visit the Notre Dame. I went to the
Yeah, the
beaches
heart
several
of Algiers.
the heart of Algiers. So it was so incredibly beautiful. I was also able to go to the museum of the martyrs under the monument, and I was able to learn more about Algeria's history, which was definitely very sad but very powerful. And I can tell why Algerians are very proud of their identity, which is a really great thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, mostly Algiers. But it's such a beautiful city. I wouldn't even be able to discover most of it in one summer anyway. So it worked
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
there are too many places to visit and provinces too. We have
Yeah.
like 8 provinces.
Yeah. It's okay. One day I'll come back and I'll be able to visit all of them. I'll try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so how about food? Did you try Algerian food or not yet?
Yes, I have tried Algerian food, and I mean real Algerian food because a friend of mine invited me to their house, breakfast, and their mom cooked up like actual Algerian food. So yes, actual Algerian food. It was so delicious. I took a nap afterwards. I passed out because I ate so much. It was really, really good. And I realized like authentic Algerian food is so delicious. And I also realized like how diverse Algeria is as well, especially within its cuisines. Because when I first landed in Algiers, I was like, I'm Korean American, I'm Korean. So I'm like, man, like the food's not spicy enough. I need my gochujang. I need my actual like spicy sauces and stuff. But everyone here tells me, oh, listen, like that's just some parts of Algiers, but you go down to the south and they have actual
Yeah,
spices,
south and east of Algeria,
seasoning.
really
Yeah.
spicy.
So definitely have been able to go to some restaurants that serve that type of food, and that was delicious as well. I think desserts here are really good. So I'm just looking forward to one day coming back here just to try out the different kinds of food from the different regions. That would be really
Mhm.
lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to try spiti. It's the most spiciest food in Algeria.
Oh yeah.
Spiti. Remember this word.
Okay. I will. Wait, how do you say it one more time?
Spiti. Spiti.
Sweet.
It's spiti. Spiti.
Sweetie.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
ask for spiti and you will enjoy it.
Okay. All right, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So how about Algerian dialect? Like, did you learn some words? Darja?
Uh, so I don't speak any Darja or French or Arabic, so it's been very hard getting around here. I learned Kif Kif. I learned Kif Kif.
Yeah, same.
I learned how to say some fruits. I learned Della. I learned
Dilla, yeah.
love. I learned Aneb and
Anab, yeah.
and Ho.
Some fruits.
Yeah, peaches. I learned peaches. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but yeah, literally,
Yeah,
I know how to say same and three fruits. So that's the extent of my Darja, unfortunately. But
yeah, good. For 2 months is good until
okay,
now.
okay, appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
So I have a last question. Maybe it's a bit emotional. I really appreciate your experience, your own experience. So, from this experience, what's the main advice you can give to people who have the same situation with you, like people who feel guilty or shy about who they are?
Yeah, no, that's a really strong question. And the one thing that I will say is the most important is just like not caring about what other people think,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that that you are loved by like so many different people. Again, the way that I was able to really grow into a man was spending time. I think that's the biggest thing. I would spend time with people from different communities, because I think that's when you realize that there are just so many different life experiences out there, that people who make fun of you for your life experiences, your heritage, that's just such small mindedness. Like, we live in such a beautiful and big open world that when you get to learn about another culture with an open mind, you are
Yeah.
only learning more and becoming bigger yourself. The world becomes smaller, whichever.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like the best way to move forward. And I also want people to know that when people make fun of you for like your heritage or something like that, bully you for that, like, that's not you, that's not your fault. It's the world that just has not caught up to accepting and embracing like how wonderful of a person you are. So with that, I just wanted to thank you so much for your time. Real quick,
Yeah,
last
thank you for
Korean
you
word I
too.
want to teach you. Repeat after me. 감사합니다.
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 I can guess
Yeah.
it means thank you, right?
Yeah, 감사합니다 means thank you. So 감사합니다,
감사합니다.
Soraya, for an amazing time. Thank
Thank
you
you for
everyone for watching. And yeah, tune in soon for another episode with
right.
the U.S.
Mhm.
Embassy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Bye bye.
Yeah, take it easy.